It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. It's about that time. We are definitely about to record a show.
Are you working?
I am.
Oh my goodness.
So, see, the time never stops, right? People don't believe that we're working right now. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Another fun episode of Athletics LLC. Whew, whew. The time zones that are covered, the steps that have been counted, you know, it all counts. It all counts. So, Governor, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Greetings from the great north up in Toronto, hanging out with some family. It's been 6 years since I've seen my brothers, my nieces, nephews. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back up here, and but up all night watching the meet. You know, down in the basement right now.
You've been banished to the basement.
This is my world, so glad to be here.
Love it. Clyde, how about yourself, sir? How are you tonight?
Great. I'm in Eugene, Oregon. I'm at the World Championships for the first time ever as a pure spectator, and I'm having a ball.
You could eat your popcorn and enjoy the meet.
I get to sit around, see people I'm friends with, see people I'm fans of. I get to be petty. I get to talk trash in the stands. The baby is here. T's here. I'm having a ball.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Lamar, I survived the draft cuffing.
Listen, I got to sit in the stands tonight and watch a track meet, and I feel like I haven't done that in forever, even though I did it a couple times this year, because baseball has been all consuming in my life. And I mean, look, that's what it's supposed to do. That is my job. But man, survive is the right word. And shout out to the American Airlines Wi-Fi on the airplane. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have had two guys drafted.
Oh my gosh. Look, good looking out. Good looking out. I think you need a hashtag on that one.
It's the worst place on the planet to be when you literally know that you are dependent upon the Wi-Fi on an airplane.
All right. All right. Well, Sir Lucius, I think the busiest man on the tiles. I mean, light work, you know, whatever. How you doing tonight, sir?
I am well. You know, I'm well. I'm, you know, a little fatigued, but you know, I'm holding up pretty good.
The question is, why is Sir Lucius still working? Last I was told he's a college coach.
Right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I can't coach professionals. I can't. My bad. How dare I?
You're so extra. You're out of your lane. Get back in your lane, sir.
That's what Clyde does, right?
Oh my gosh.
He spouts the truth. That's what he was told. I was a college coach. I don't know what I'm doing. So
man, oh man. Man, oh man. Well, we'll briefly go into some little highlights of the current meet that we're speaking of, World Championships, and then we've got some points that we want to take the perspective of the panel. But you know, just overall, how are we feeling about championships? How are we feeling about the locale? How are we feeling about the fans? How are we feeling about the competition?
So for point of reference, you know, for the audience, whenever they see the show on Friday, we just finished night 5, right?
Six.
Night 6. So we are, you know, a little bit more than halfway through. So we're only going to be able to give perspective on the first half of things, but that's where we are. We'll do it again.
Yeah, right.
So your perspective is?
Overall, is that what we're asking?
Yeah, just overall.
So to this point, yes.
I mean, like I said, I'm having a great time. The rumors of empty stadiums and all of that, I don't know what y'all are talking about or what you're looking at on television. The stadium is full. It is fantastic. And I want to clarify this point because people are stupid, right? When you say a thing, like we all understand common understanding of language, right? If you go to an event and you say the stadium is empty, you literally, we all understand that no one means literally there's no humans there. There are people there, but it's relatively empty. So people, when we say the stadium is full, no, every seat is not occupied, nor would every seat be occupied at the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or anything else. But make no mistake about it, the stadium is full and has been full. And it's been fantastic to see and to feel, and the crowds are loud, they are engaged, and all the athletes understand that and are getting the benefits of that, American and non. So, you know, people really need to stop with the excuses and stop with the with the propaganda. Stadium's full, y'all, and it's great.
Yeah, my take is it's been a phenomenal champ. I think I said this last week. I have never been to a bad meet, I'm sorry, in this building. And I didn't expect that this meet would be a bad one with all the great talent we have here. I mean, are there some snafus? I mean, like, the guy that decides to stand in the middle of the track doing the steeple. I mean, that's a snafu. I'm a little baffled as to why we're not running in lane 9, but running in lane 1. I was told it's because there's cameras in lane 9, but that's not right. But I mean, it is what it is. And I know there's been some people, Americans, that say it doesn't feel like a world championships. Well, that's because you're used to the NCAAs and USAs being here. So of course that feel like worlds.
Right. Right.
But it is worlds. And so at the end of the day, I think that, the cynics, the critics, the people out there that want to, bash what's going on here in Eugene, there's plenty of, trust me. On 4 occasions, I've had to stand in line to go to the bathroom. Okay. 4 occasions.
Perspective.
Right? So just perspective. Like you don't very rarely do you see men's bathrooms with lines, right? And so to understand, like, it wasn't just one. So me, oh, that's just one. I'm gonna go to this one, and there's a line. And I go to the next one, and there's a line. So I'm like, you better stand your butt in line and go to the bathroom, right? Because it was a line everywhere, And so, and it wasn't like on some with nothing going on. There was stuff going on in the stadium, and it's been great. There's lines at the concession stands. Clyde knows this. It's very hard to get out when the meet's over.
Oh God.
It takes forever.
We linger for a good 20, 30 minutes because we're not trying to walk through the COVID fog.
I mean, that's what took us so long, to be honest, right? Like we first of all, we had to leave with a baby, and everybody wants to stop and see the baby. But yeah, I mean, there's I don't want to cut off your time, but I just wanted I agree with you. Like it takes a minute to get up out of there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's been phenomenal for me. I've been here seems like way too long, but it has been a great championship. We've seen great performances. The crowds have been large and loud and engaged. It's been phenomenal. It's been the number of Jamaicans here.
Oh yeah.
I was
They came out. They're here.
They showed up now. They are here.
Horns and all.
Yeah, they are.
Vuvuzelas. Vuvuzelas.
Vuvuzelas.
I didn't know what that was, but I got it now. I know what they are. Because we've heard a bunch of them.
Well, those were brought to the world. Those were brought to the world in
World Cup.
I think, the World Cup and then
in South Africa.
The World Cup in South Africa and the Olympics in Sydney, Australia, where those two things first. I mean, those things first came really blasting out to the world, and it's like, oh boy, we found an incredibly cheap way to make an incredible loud noise, and they have. I'll tell you what, I would love to be a vuvuzela salesman because.
Oh yeah.
So I'll give my very brief take on this. I'm a little more aggressive than my wonderful compatriots because they're being nice to you as fans. If you had an opportunity to be here and you're not, you made a life choice that was poor. We were having this conversation in the stands today. Like, I don't think the World Championships will ever come to the United States again. And if it does, it'll be a long time for a lot of reasons. Track and field is very Eurocentered. There will be legitimate concerns about some of the visa issues. The other issue obviously is, and people have seen this, like, because now the years won't match up again, but because European championships were this year, there are definitely some people who just chose not to even participate. So, and because Worlds is here, it's in early July. So there's a chance that it won't be here again in your lifetime. And I'll say I've been in an incredible number of track and field stadiums. This is probably the best one, to be honest. And I will say, not going to a world championship in your home country is like not going to the Olympics in your home country. Like, if you have a chance to create like life-changing memories and you don't do it, like, I promise you will regret that, right? Because Worlds is awesome on TV no matter where it is. But when you can be in the building, there's nothing better.
Better in person.
It's just track is better in person, period. Track is better in person. So that's my take. Worlds has been amazing watching it on television. It was even more amazing today watching it in the stadium. I'll be in the stadium every day from now to the end of it. And whatever logistical things that anybody has any complaints about, trust me when I tell you, I've been to almost every single world championship since 1995, and there were logistical things at all of them. Because it's it is a world competition, right? There are logistical things at every World Cup. There are logistical things at every Olympics, because at the end of the day, when you're bringing, hundreds of countries from everywhere to one place, there are going to be some logistical things that you couldn't possibly have prepared for. And at the end of the day, it's like, can you react and overcome and do that? And that's the judge of whether the place should have had the championship in the first place. And I would definitely say Eugene is doing an incredible job, because I thought for sure when I got here, traffic was going to be insane, parking was going to be insane, restaurants were going to be insane. I promise you, none of those three things have happened. And it's not because the people aren't here. They have managed the flow of human beings incredibly well here.
Got it. Governor, from the outside looking in, what are your thoughts?
Well, so I remember putting some thoughts together after the first couple of days. And again, this is me from the outside looking in. And, the first thing that struck me, this has to be one of the first world championships, if not the only world championships, probably outside of maybe Helsinki or someplace like that, where we were seeing finals in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And that's something that's, it kind of struck me as, just different kind of slant. I'm being a romantic and of the great world championship moments. I'm thinking purely of under the lights, full stadium under the lights, and having that, they couldn't possibly, for instance, do the light show that they did in Qatar, like they couldn't do that in Eugene, right? So that was the first thing that popped into my head. Lamar pretty much, allayed my fears. The other fear that I had was that, you bring the world to a city like Eugene. I mean, it had the makings of a logistical nightmare, right? That
for sure,
right?
For sure.
So, what's obvious, what has to be obvious is that are people busing in from Portland, from Corvallis. I mean, is that what we're seeing right now? And heading back, after the sessions, and if that's the case, then kudos to those companies, kudos to the transportation companies for making sure that it's a smooth transition back and forth. The other thing that, again, when it first happened, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're telling me the medal ceremony that's not happening? Like, you're just giving the medal right there on the track? I was like, whoa, wait a minute. But no, they are having their moment. They're still doing the podium awards. But again, it's enough that I can sit here and pontificate all you want. What I'm seeing for the first time in my lifetime is American athletes get the adulation at home, feeling the love from the fans. The USA is already at 19 medals, okay?
Right.
They are absolutely doing the damn thing, okay? And, it's high time that this happened, right? Like, we're talking about 84. We're talking about, it's been that long since we've had, the opportunity, 96, since American athletes, and then to come off of COVID on top of it. So you're coming off of the Olympics in an empty stadium, right? To this, I mean, it's no wonder that we're seeing athletes go above and beyond right now and put down some really, really good markers.
Yep, all the above. And I think that's why some of them, when we are having these, let's call it non-preferred performances happening, they stung a little bit more, right? Just because like you had this expectation of this wonderful performance, whether it's to get to qualifying rounds or get through qualifying rounds, through finals, whatever it is. When it doesn't happen, it hurts because you've got your country at your back trying to support you, and you're trying to just pull them along with you. So good point. So now I'm going to ask you very pointed questions for some great answers. So I think there are going to be a variance of these answers. What has been the best performance for you all since day one?
I mean, this one's a toss-up for me. I got to go with Ryan Krauser and shot put. And I'm going with Krauser because, Big Joe gets in the ring, throws a big throw, goes to the lead. Ryan's about to step in the ring. They stop him because the hurdles are about to start. We have the false start issues and all that stuff. And he's like, he wastes like 7-8 minutes. And it's like, most people get iced. Not Ryan Krauser. He walks in the ring, and he's your world champion, breaking the championship record. So that was the performance of the meet for me so far.
See, okay, wait. Time out. Asterisk. Peacock watchers, USA watchers, NBC watchers, we didn't know that happened.
We're gonna get to the petty things later.
But I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, because that changes everything. Because like I had my moment and I'm like, well, that one's way better. But mine's for the perspective that I was given, not for the perspective that I can see. So that's whatever. I have to point that out.
And the crazy thing is, okay, like I'm sitting with Clyde, right? Mm-hmm. And all this is going on. And of course, I look to see what Grant's doing. I see Grant walk over and do a strike around the turn. So I turn and start watching the shot put. And I do.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Governor Clyde Lamar, best performance so far?
I'll go. First off, I'll say this, like, I've loved these world championships as a fan. Like, it's just, I've really enjoyed watching them, but I'm gonna go with Chase Ely. because no American female has ever had the number one throw in the world and the expectations that come with it going into world championships. And then add to that, it being on US soil where she's expected to win. And then she dominated. And I just thought that was really, really impressive. And the layman will think, well, of course she was supposed to win. She's number one in the world. Like, they don't understand. Like, that almost guarantees you won't in some cases. And so I was impressed with that.
For me, I mean, what Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce did in the 100 is, I mean, she set a championship record, okay? Like, we have seen some of the greatest sprinters in the world compete at these world championships year after year after year. This considered, 35 years old, a mother, ups and downs. She was, you had Elaine doing what she did last year. She comes to these world championships having dropped, 3 times under 1070. She comes to the world championships, runs 1067. And I mean, kudos to Shelly-Ann, her coach. I mean, it pretty amazing stuff. That race was not for the squeamish. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I think, way down the line, we'll probably be looking back at this generation of sprinters. They're going to be up there in the pantheon of the greatest ever. I mean, obviously, with technology, with new tracks, all of that stuff, we expect things to change and people to get faster. But boy, that 100-meter final lived up to its billing.
Well, since the governor took mine,
How do you learn to stop
as
the
tends
laugh?
to happen around here from time to time. I'm gonna go. The question is best performance.
Best performance, yes.
Best performance for me always is a little contextual, and there are performances to come. Please believe. But for me, and I've been in the building every single night, there's a lot of young people here for the first time. And getting here is hard enough. Being the absolute best version of yourself when you are literally taking on the world for the first time is a whole nother level of things. And for me, Cameron Rogers got a silver medal in the women's hammer throw. She is a child in this event. Like, this is not one of these events where it's not the 100 where, you're 19, you're 20, you're 21, you got, you typically got a shot. Usually you got to be headed towards late 20s, early 30s before you figure out how to do this thing for real. And she walked in this building and got a silver medal. Now I'm close to that situation, and you can call that a homer pick, but I also know what it took to get into that. And in context, you don't have to get the gold in order to show the best of performances. And I was thoroughly impressed with that. Because understand, she could have came in here and got a bronze or no medal at all, and her season wouldn't have been any less spectacular. For her to rise up in that moment and deliver like that, incredible. And Lamar can correct me if I have this wrong, that is the first time in the history of the world that you have an all North American podium in the women's hammer. So incredible.
Yes, it is absolutely the first time in the world there was an all North American podium, but as in a bigger context is this, because I didn't know this until one of my Canadian friends told me that. It's the first Canadian female field event medal at World Championships ever.
There's a lot of that going on at these championships.
There is that.
By the way, I feel like anytime Chase Ely is announced or presented, they just need to show the pictures of her running in high school.
Right.
Forget
When she was
about
100-meter
showing-
girl.
Forget,
Yes.
just show that this young lady is an athlete. Okay.
Right. She was going to be a heptathlete.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
My quick 2 cents, just the men's contingent for shot put. Their performances to dominate the podium, I thought was pretty phenomenal. And, you know, they stuck their noses out in front early and kept them there as best as possible, you know. So I thought that was pretty phenomenal, the way they just did that. Switching lanes, lane 2, what is your biggest upset thus far?
Whew.
There's a lot of little ones, but like, what's you? I mean, and I guess it's perspective, right? What hurts you the most inside? So what has hurt you the most inside?
How did she phrase that? Say that again.
What has hurt you the most inside the sea?
Hurt me the most.
Yeah, because it's the biggest upset in your perspective.
Oh, biggest upset. Okay, biggest
Yeah.
upset. Got it.
I got mine, so I'll go first. We take people who always do that, who always perform at a certain level for granted. Vashti Cunningham not making the final in the high jump was shocking, like jaw-dropping to me. Definitely thought she had a chance at a medal here, and there was literally no world that I thought that she wouldn't make the final.
Or a bar.
And she made a bar. Stop.
That's
She
they.
made two. She made two
Okay.
bars.
We
But
caught that late. Then I only saw the 3 jumps.
but you know, it just reminds you of the brutality of a global sport, right? Like Vashti has made finals at global championships all over the world, and we bring one, you know, to our house, and she's jumped in Eugene a bunch,
Mhm.
and she made the final. And it was amazing. It was shocking to me.
And so when we talk about, say, when I think about an upset, I mean, I'm thinking about somebody that won an event that wasn't expected.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm going to go with the guy in the long jump.
Yeah.
And if anybody hasn't figured out that Mr. Huntington can coach the long jump, then you're delusional at a very high level. I can't remember the guy's name. I apologize to he and Randy, but we were sitting there, Clyde and I sitting there again, and the dude came flying on the runway, and as soon as he took off, Clyde went, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
as soon as he hit the
Juan,
board,
that's his
true
name.
story. Like
Yeah.
as soon as he hit the board, Clyde went, "Oh shit!" You know. So excuse me, Mike. I apologize, but no. So yeah, that was very, very impressive. Very impressive.
Mine is, I mean, this seems so clear to me. Jake Wickman in the 1500 upset everybody.
Yes, he did.
And it's one of the cooler stories of the championships, and will remain so if you weren't watching it live. His father is the announcer. So think about that. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Timothy Chariot.
Yep.
Yeah, none of that.
Nope.
Jake Wickman went out there in front of his father on the microphone.
Yep.
And pulled off probably the upset of the championships. I don't know what else is about to happen, but you'd be hard pressed to find a bigger one than that. And I mean, he obviously knew he won the race, but go look at the replay and watch his face when he crossed the line. No way. And it's not like they ran slow. It's not like it was a tactical weird. No, he just put his nose in there and took it to him. It was a hell of a race. Hell of a race. And that, you know, that you're talking about a memory that'll be there forever. 20 years from now, that will still be cool, and that story will still be cool.
Well, my biggest upset came tonight in the discus. And, you know, for Miss Fang Bin to throw a 3-meter PB on her first throw And immediately, two of the best throwers in the world that have been going at each other for the last 3 years or so, all of a sudden they had to figure some stuff out real quick.
Clawing,
And
just clawing for it.
you can see the pressure that was building with each throw, and neither one could figure it out. And what makes it more confounding, and I've been in their shoes before, where it's not that Fang, that Ben had done anything they hadn't done before, right? Throwing over 17 meters, they've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be today. And the discus, and I've had more and more exposure to the discus with our throwers at UTSA, and kind of watching the psychology of that event. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Like, you can be on one day and the next day it's like, and it is one of those events that, I would compare it, to the long jump, from a personal perspective, where like you can go pretty much off the cliff if you're not careful. If you're not locked into your technique and staying true to what you're doing, you could see Valerie, starting to try to throw far, and the dancing and all of that started to go away with each throw. And you're just like, wow, you're on home turf, you're expecting the result, and it just didn't happen tonight. So credit to Miss Ben, for, going out there, and, that is as good as it gets. To throw a 3-meter PB at the World Championships, win the gold medal. Hey, kudos to you, hats off to you.
Well, and the comments,
Yeah.
again, from the outside looking in, we don't know this, right? We don't feel the temperature or the conditions. They said on the first round of throws, there was a headwind,
There was a headwind, yeah.
and then the headwind died.
Yeah,
And so now you're working up even more of an uphill battle,
absolutely.
and to be more on, right? Or to have less of an aid, per se.
Life isn't fair,
No.
I mean,
And you better start making.
yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow
And,
we-
and, we,
You know-
and again, I haven't been in a stadium, but can you imagine that happening in the 200? Where the first round goes out, the first semi goes off, and they've got this crazy tailwind, and then all of a sudden everything
1.9.
dies down. Oh man,
Mhm.
that's
How about the long jump?
oh yeah, same thing.
One of the things I thought was really cool about that competition that's totally going to be lost to most people is that a collegian got fourth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jordan.
Van Klinken.
Yeah.
Van Klinken.
Yep.
Just missed my predictions.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Lane number 3. What's been the biggest surprise thus far?
I'll go first because
He's like, I didn't get robbed.
because my surprise is not a positive one, and I feel like everybody's gonna have an opinion on this one. My biggest surprise was the ending and the things that all the shenanigans that went into it of the men's 110 hurdles. The men's 110 hurdles was just a debacle. Now, that doesn't take anything away from what Grant did. Props to him, well-deserved world champion. No one thought that he was going to be out there in a lane with no one to his left, no one to his right, basically running by himself.
Yeah.
Right? To watch Hansel Parchment go down in a warm-up rep 5 minutes before the gun was shocking enough.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the disqualification of Devin Allen for I'm just going to say it, the most bullshit false start call I've ever seen in my life. So there is a lot of context there, but if you're asking me surprise, if the word you're asking me is surprise, no one saw any of that coming. Some people had Grant winning. I'm one of them. So that's not the surprise, but how we got there, easily the biggest surprise for me, and just very anticlimactic. And the false start thing, like I can't let it go. Like I'm really upset about that.
Well, my biggest surprise is Jake Whitman. I mean, Whiteman, is it Whiteman?
There's a G in there somewhere.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's White, W-I-G-H-T, Whiteman. I'm sitting here just waiting for Ingebrigtsen to just pour it on, pull away, and it didn't happen. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this is going to be another one of those world championships where whatever you thought,
Yeah. Go ahead and unthink that.
just go ahead, throw it out the window. Whatever you bet on, whatever you made, you for sure. This is a for sure bet. This is what's going to happen. Nope. It just wasn't there for him today. And then, the story, I mean, the storylines, his mom and dad in the stands, unbelievable. But that was one of those seminal moments. And I'm curious to know what happens from here on out, because if anybody knows how the British press works and how the Brits work, it's almost, and I hate to say it, but it's not necessarily a good thing when you go out and win a championship. And for the people in our sport, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because this young man is going to have more pressure on his shoulders than he's ever had in his life, right? And how he deals with it, how he deals with the accolades, everything that's going to be thrown at him, is going to determine, the success for the rest of his career, I don't envy him. I can tell you that flat out. I've seen it happen, and I don't envy the man. But again, kudos to him. Unbelievable race. I enjoyed it immensely. And it reminded me again, on the day, that's what counts. Are you ready on the day he was ready today? Yesterday.
The most surprising thing I saw was the performance of the U.S. men's 800-meter runners today.
Oof.
Absolutely did not see that happening. I mean, I'm not bashing anybody. I mean, it's athletics, things happen, but there's no way I saw that happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal.
No way.
Yes.
It was with the amount of talent we have there. And obviously everybody just had a bad day, right? But there's nobody that saw that happening. And then the one guy that gets through gets DQ'd. Right? So just wasn't our night there. But
run through it, Lucius, because people ain't necessarily watching. They might be learning this from us. So we had 3 in the competition, right?
Yep.
Brazier, Heupel, and who?
We have
Koech.
4.
Brazier, Heupel, Koech, and Brandon Miller.
Yep.
So Brazier runs 146. Then Heupel runs 147. Then Miller runs 147, which they were all better than that in high school, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Heupel was involved in a collision, but
it just wasn't their night. Again, I'm not bashing them or their coaches or anything like that. They just had a bad night. But there's no one in that stadium that thought that there would be no one in the semifinals of the 800 for the U.S.
Right. It's the first round.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brutal.
Tying into the longer races, the men's 10K had no Ethiopian medal.
Wow.
That was
She says with a gigantic grin.
True.
No, but it's crazy though, because you have the 2 Ugandians, 1 and 3, and then the Kenyans. But that's when was last time that happened? I don't know, but that's not something you just think of. You always assume that there's going to be an Ethiopian or Ethiopians in the mix. So I thought that was a really big surprise. Lane 4, the best young athletes. so thus far?
I'll go first. And you're gonna have to remind me on the predictions and all of that. But I did not have Melissa Jefferson making the final. I did not think that she would be able to keep everything together for those 3 rounds. She proved me wrong. And I think we are on the cusp. I think we're about to see the makings of someone that's very special, because she's already run fast. I don't think there's any denying that this young lady can run fast. But to make the final with 3 of the greatest Jamaican sprinters ever, okay?
3 of the greatest sprinters ever. Not just Jamaican. Sprinters.
You know, let's just go down the line, right? 3 of the greatest, probably the best collection of Jamaican sprinters that we've ever seen. The British record holder, right? You've got the Swiss record holder.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Talou and you've got Hobbs. I mean, kudos to Hobbs too. I mean, that was a pretty good, when you think about the experience and where those 2 young ladies are and where they've been, you know, regardless or not, I think this is something that's going to help Miss Jefferson when she moves on in her career, because that's not easy. You don't just happen to get into the women's 100-meter final. You don't just do that, okay? And so, you know, again, I have to give her praise and give her respect where it's due.
I want to pause on that for a second, because that's one of these issues that just drives me crazy about our sport and our so-called casual fans. Anybody, I don't care how old or young you are, anybody with the internet microphone that has been talking trash like Melissa Jefferson somehow did something wrong, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa Jefferson making that final is incredible.
It is.
And
It's
extremely
incredible.
difficult to do, given all the context that the governor just laid out for you. And I'm going to add more to it. I don't care who you're a fan of. One way or the other, either Shelly Ann is the greatest 100-meter sprinter of all time, or Elaine Thompson is.
Yep.
So we've talked about bad birthdays. Melissa Jefferson got a bad birthday. She arrived in the middle of the worst fire ever.
Yep.
And somehow made the final. I don't
final.
care what place she finished.
Just, hey, go through the list
I don't
of the
care.
female sprinters that did not make that final.
Right.
Mhm.
It is extensive. Okay.
Okay, and also let's go back to 6 weeks ago, after a performance at the NCAA championship, people didn't have her making the team. Right?
Yeah.
And not only does she make the team, she makes the world, she makes the team, and she makes the final.
Absolutely.
So that young lady's future is incredibly bright, and props and an excellent choice by the governor. Again, the term here is best. I don't need a lot of context to explain this one. I don't care what happens in the final of this race at all. The best young athlete in this meet is Arian Knighton by a mile. It's not even close. I don't know. Listen, I don't care what happens in the final. I picked him to win it. I don't care about the shitty lane draw, which is inexplicable to me. I get it. Like, I understand the rule, but it's a stupid ass rule. I don't care what happens. I picked him to win it. I'm sticking with him to win it, but make no mistake about it. The best young person in this building
Yes.
is Arian Knighton by a mile.
Unbelievable, man.
I'm gonna go next, and since you stole one of mine, I'm gonna still possibly I survived the draft choice, and for me it's Anna Hall. For Anna to come in the last, what Anna's done in the last 129 days is just unheard of.
Yes.
But for her to come in here and PR by 298 points in her first World Championships and get the bronze medal,
Crazy.
Was just phenomenal. And obviously, if you call it a homer pick if you want, but it's not, because it was a phenomenal performance. So I won't take Ariane and Anna, but since you took Ariane, I'll take it.
And if anybody has
Uh,
any doubts about what Sir Lucius is talking about, go watch that 800,
Right.
Yeah.
because she ran her tail off. Okay, like with 100 to go, it looked like things were not going to end well.
Exactly. And she dug.
And that head started bobbing. Woo!
So you understand, and for the context, there was never a doubt.
no.
Never a doubt. Like when they got to 600, I'm like, she's not gonna get by.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know she can't hear me, but I'm talking to myself, I guess. She's not gonna get by. And that was hard for her. It was more like the emotion and everything. But Lamar and I talked about this. I can almost guarantee you that if Anna would have had to run 202 to win the thing, she'd have ran 202.
Right.
But she knew no matter, she could have ran 157 and still not won.
Yeah.
So, and so the thing was, I'm going to make sure I run well and make sure nobody catches me. But, that was phenomenal. We had a lot of fun for those couple of days. I'm still a little tired from that, but we had a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to jump in here and say a couple very brief things. One, I was going to take Ariane and Anna off the table just because they're just not fair. If anybody is confused about how good Anna Hall is, let's just start with this. Jackie Joyner-Kersee is the best female track athlete, and in my opinion, the best female athlete to ever walk this planet. And Anna Hall is better than Jackie Joyner-Kersee at this age. So just let that wash over you, drink that in, and move on with your day. Ariane Knighton's not from this planet, so we don't need to talk about him either. Because honestly, that's a rabbit hole that would literally, we could do a whole month of shows on the things Ariane Knighton has done that you can't do at 17 and 18. Do you know what I mean? We could literally do a whole month of shows. So I for my money, I was going to take those two off the table because, for one, I knew somebody else was going to do those. But for two, I want to give props to somebody he has emerged as somebody that is a humongous global problem. And it's funny because he's emerged the same way as the best guy in the world did. Trevor Bassett took on the first, second, and third best 400 hurdlers to ever walk this planet.
Right.
First, second, and fourth. Sorry. Right?
Well, now
and
third.
He's like, right now third.
First, second,
but at the time, right? But at the time it was 1, 2, and 4, right? Or something like that. Anyway, here's my point. He knew there's only 3 medals, which means he got to beat at least one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that young man was unabashed and unafraid and ran like a psychopath, just like the guy who's the best guy in the world and is a world record holder.
Yep.
And here's what I'm telling you. I am not saying Trevor Bassett is going to break the world record in the 400 hurdles, but it sure as hell wouldn't completely and utterly surprise me, because he has the it piece that none of us can ever quantify, right? Look, if you look at them athletically, Karsten Warholm is not better than the people he has beaten, if you look at them athletically. But up here,
yes,
he never saves anything for the swim back. Therefore, he's willing to die to win. And that's a place 99.999% of the people on this planet are not willing to go. I'm telling you that I think Trevor Bassett is just as nuts in a good way. He is fearless. I saw it indoors at Indoor Worlds. This man is running in his off event that he's not a quarter miler. And he took on all the quarter milers in the world and came within 4.5 inches of winning world championships indoors. He doesn't know that he doesn't belong and doesn't care. And for that young man in his first outdoor global championship to win a medal in that group of people
Yeah.
is straight up insanity. And if you don't realize that there's more to come with him, you're just not paying attention. You're just not paying attention. So I will say this. I said this before, when we were dealing with the Olympic team going to Tokyo. We have the most phenomenal group of young people that this country's ever had doing track since 1968. And I said then it was important for them to make the teams to go to the Olympics to get that experience, because that was going to harden them going forward. Hell, we got more talent than I even knew, because Trevor Bassett wasn't on that team. He wasn't in that group.
Right. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right. And there's others that have emerged, since then. And I'm telling you, man, like, track and field in the United States is in the best place it could possibly be by ways of the athletic talent and its age.
Oh, good call. Lane 5. What has been the best event thus far?
I'm going to circle back. I mean, with all the vitriol and the way that World Athletics has messed around with my pet event,
Yes.
long jump, they really, when you talk about that last round
Mm-hmm.
and what happened in those, the 6 attempts, that is what the long jump is all about. Like, and only the long jump, in my opinion, I mean, will we see things like this happen where people come out of the woodwork and, I mean, again, like, I think everybody coming in expected the Greek jumper to win. He had the best. He'd been. I don't think he had lost for the entire year. And but again, he the Wang, is it Wang or Wang?
Wrong.
Wang was prepared. And how long has it been in between world championship gold medals from Mr. Randy Huntington? Like, low. I mean, you want a lesson in stick-to-itiveness? I mean, there you go, right there. I mean, 1991 wasn't just yesterday, folks. Okay, so kudos to Wang. I'm glad that the long jump was as entertaining as it was, and hopefully, people continue to support the event, because we all know right now it's not where it should be. And I'm looking forward to bigger things down the road.
Ooh, can I go next?
Don't steal.
Sure.
I don't think I'm going to steal anybody's. I don't think. For me, actually, this one's not even that close. Like, if you look at expectations going into it and how it turned out, you'd be hard pressed to have a better competition than the women's triple jump.
Okay.
I mean, 1456 by Thea LaFond with 2 15-meter fouls was 5th. 1470 was.
You are aware that
PB
fouls don't count, right?
1456 is still really far. Anyway,
And talk about the 1456.
1470 is incredibly far to get 4th. And for an event with a truly dominant human being at the top, to have that many people like stand up and be like, I can go after her, right? And you get a 1489 and a 1472 for the medals. Like, usually when you have a competition that's got a Bubka or got a Krauser or got a Mondo in it, right? The competition is about them, and everybody behind them is just kind of like slap fights.
Mhm.
Like there was a monster competition that happened there.
Uh-oh. We'll hold this thought.
He survived the draft. He
Lose
couldn't have
Lamar?
survived there, and it poor
What was
internet.
happening behind
There
it was
you go.
amazing.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. Am I back now?
You're back.
Yeah, you are.
Repeat the last 20 seconds or whatever you said.
Well, long story short is this. Usually when you have a competition with a superstar up front, lots of meh happens behind it. And that competition was amazing with all kinds of second, third, fourth podium place changes. And it was awesome to watch.
Okay. I want to
And
follow
the first American to win a medal in the triple jump.
Yes, Torrey Franklin.
Ever. Yep.
Let's not disregard what that young lady did. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Lamar, I like your pick. I do. And you're not wrong about anything that you said. But I got to tell you, sitting there watching the women's triple, at least, so our seats are on the home stretch, like dead in front of the triple, right? And all I can tell you is in and around where I was sitting, it was like people were impressed with the jumps, but at no point did anybody feel like there was any drama there. It was like, oh, that's cute, but they got no shot. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, there wasn't drama for the gold, but there was a tremendous amount of drama for the podium. Sure.
Right. And so that's why I thought about that being my pick, but I'm like, yeah, I just wasn't feeling that one. The one that for me, like had the most energy thus far was the men's high jump.
Yeah.
The men's high jump was crazy. And off of the dramatics of what happened in the Olympics, right? With Barsham and the Italian, you know, choosing to be double gold together. Now they're coming back to go head to head, and Tambiri barely made it into the final. Let's be clear. He was terrible in qualifying. To them come back and then be himself in the final, have an incredible job. Javon Harrison looked like he was going to get up there. Shelby was doing a great job for Team USA, right? And at the end of the day, Wu from Korea had the entire stadium like at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
The entire, I mean, not just the clap, it's woo, woo, woo. Like everybody was up for that. And at the end of the day, Barsham was like, yeah, nah.
He was like,
y'all
remember this?
Right. Like,
y'all remember this?
It is what it is. I'm still gonna never miss a thing and put everybody to bed when I have to. Right. Like that was the best comp that I've seen overall thus far. But I understand where you were going with that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say fun fact. Zach took the governor's pick for our long jumper here. You know, the last time he won world championships, a world championship, was in 2014 when he won World Juniors in Eugene.
Okay.
So I thought
I
that
was
was
at that meeting.
I was
at that meeting.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry, so Lucius, go ahead.
The best event I've seen so far was the shot put, the men's shot put. South Carolina got Josh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes out on his first throw, you know, big PB, you know, watching Joe first throw, you know, get after it. And, you know, we talked about a little bit earlier, you know, Ryan's response to Joe's big throws. So that was the best one for me to watch so far. Most exciting. You know, clearly, probably it could have been the 110 hurdles, but yeah, it got a little bit messed up. So
Not your fault. Not your fault.
Yeah, you did your job.
Of the long list of humans who did not do their job, you are not on that list, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, lane 6. What has been the worst thing that you've seen thus far?
Petty lane. We all enjoy the petty lane.
Right? We have to give it right in the middle, right? That's supposed to be our preferred lane, lane 6.
Chu,
So-
you go first. You go. You ain't going first. You go first.
So, I'll say this. It's definitely been the false start issue. And by all means, it's the new definition of the false start. It's not the flinch. It's not the head nod. It's not that. It's the pedal pressure. And it's definitely, the shortcomings of what an official is supposed to be in this point, things like that. People reacting in the wrong nature, making the wrong argument to the false start. Like, they didn't move. Okay, but the pressure off the pedal was there. When Devin Allen, when they slowed down the video, you can see his front foot came up, his toes came up, and that's what let the pressure off. That's when, you could see.
Well, no, he always does that. He cocks his toes like that when the blocks when he comes to set.
Yeah.
No, so it was after that. There was a short moment after that. Like, I know what you're talking about, but I swear. So, anyways, whatever all the.
Well, I'm gonna go back and watch it because I've watched that a lot.
Yeah.
And
No.
see, like, the thing I'll say about the pressure on the blocks is this. I think the study that led to that might have been back in the 1960s or something. So it's a little outdated. So it's as old as I am. So it's outdated. So then the other part of it for me is that we continue to try to put limitations on humans. And so something that a man couldn't do 30 years ago, a man can do today. So the original thing was to design something to help the starters. Now the starters are totally reliant upon the system, and it's a machine. Machines make mistakes. Machines break down, and so I think that's the worst. I mean, by the way, that's the worst thing I've seen as well. So I'm piggybacking on it, but I just think that it just needs to be tossed out. It needs to go back to the starters, and that needs to be used as a backup for the starters, not the other way around.
Agreed. That's definitely where I was going with that.
And I'll add to that, because again, that situation marred what could have been a pretty special 110 hurdle final. I mean, let's call it what it is. You have the Olympic champion. You have 1284 in that race. You have Grant Holloway. You have the makings of a pretty special race. And it turned out to be an absolute debacle, like in terms of how it all played out. Kudos to Grant for keeping his nerve, keeping his head together. I was reminded of Otto in '96, and because the amount of time it takes for an athlete to protest and go back and forth and say no, and that is taking away energy. It's sucking energy out of you as an athlete in that race, and being able to stay focused and locked in on what you need to do, especially we're talking about the 110 hurdles here. So again, kudos to Mr. Holloway for going out and getting the win. Now there has been another study, since that original study. I think it was in somewhere in Europe, and they went back and tested athletes, tested their reactions, and the end result they came up with is that the reaction time and the should be in the 0.08 in that area. And I mean, I don't know, I have not seen the study, I've not seen the published results and all of that, but here's what I will say. When Linford Christie got booted out, he did not start before the gun. Okay, when the debacle happened in 2003, they did not start before the gun went off. The issue that we're dealing with right now is it humanly possible to react faster than 0.1 of a second? And the answer is unequivocally yes. Okay, call it what it is. And believe me, the folks on this panel know every single time science has tried to dictate to human beings that
Yep.
these are your limits, human beings have said, you know what? You can take this L all the way back to where you came from,
Mhm.
okay? In football terms, right? We are still trying to figure out what a freaking catch is in the NFL. Okay? One of the fundamental parts of that sport, and human beings have managed to somehow turn, okay, are your hands on the ball? Are you holding on to the ball? Like,
Mhm.
those are things now, what is inbounds? What is, did you release the shot at the buzzer? Did you get it off your hands? These are things that you cannot quantify. Science cannot dictate to primal a reaction. You're talking about a reaction. You're talking about the first thing that you hear and you react to it. Come on, man. I mean, it's nonsensical. I hope this spurs, further conversation about this subject, because we're going to see this pop up, and we're going to see it popping up in the wrong possible times.
Oh, just wait. Championships ain't over.
That's what I'm
Somebody else
saying.
gonna get hurt by this madness. Let me. I could go in a bunch of petty directions, but I'm gonna stay here for a second with the Devin Allen disqualification. I do not know anything about this supposed study from whenever the hell it was, but I'd be willing to wager that it was done on a very limited number of people, and none of which, even in that time, would be considered elite athletes. Because you know what? Studies like this are rarely ever done on elite athletes, because elite athletes ain't signing up for this crap. I don't care if you took, the best of the Premier League soccer players. They're not elite at this. So until you line up the best track and field athletes in the world and do a study on them, I don't want to hear about the studies. My problem is this. I think the governor alluded to it, or Sir Lucius may have said it. The computer is meant to be an enhancement to the judges. I don't care if you had a youth meet, high school meet, college meet, pro meet, Olympics, world championships. There's no less than 4 people standing there looking at the damn starts. Okay, so none of them saw Devin Allen move because he didn't move.
They all looked at the screen.
Right. So I'm just like, hell, we done took the officials away from the long jump board, right? And the triple jump board. Now there's just a little light that tells you what happened. Why? So you can't yell at the officials no more. If we're going to be beholden to the damn computer, then just get all those people up out of there and set an automated thing, and then we can, yell at the computer, because no one in that moment decided to use a rational thought in their head or look up at the incredibly huge Jumbotron, which everybody else in the stadium saw. The boy didn't move. And not only did it rob Devin Allen of a chance to become world champion, but understand, Devin Allen gonna be in Eagles camp by next week. He's gonna be all right. He's gonna get his money. He's fine. But it robbed us all of the Devin Allen story, which our sport desperately needs. Again, we talked about it. This man's father died during the meet to qualify him to get to this place. He doesn't need the money. He's in the NFL. He's out there running just because he wants to. And he was the #1 hurdler on the planet, that close to a world record this season. Grant's the reigning defending world champion. Parchment's the reigning defending Olympic champion, and Devin Allen is supposed to be the spoiler. And we didn't get to see any of that because a computer said that Devin Allen's too good at his job. That is the dumbest excuse for anything I can, like, you couldn't invent that if you wanted to. And the fact that, I'm sorry, and the fact that no one jumped the fence, I'm waiting for Team USA people to jump the fence and be like, damn that. I'm waiting for Devin Allen to go full-blown John Drummond and be like, you're going to escort me out of here. I'm running this race, right? Like, it was so bad. And it robbed us all of, and again, I still had Grant winning, but I would have loved to see a wire-to-wire battle or something, you know? And we need that storyline because guarantee you, there's a big portion of our casual fans that don't know nothing about nothing, but the city of Philadelphia was probably watching the World Championships because they wanted to see that. You know, so it was trash. Like it was absolute trash. And I know Devin's good. And he's gonna be good, and you know, good luck to him making the Eagles and all of that. But man, we needed to see that race. And you know what? You know what's awful about all of that? It actually robs Grant too. Because there will be people that'll put an asterisk by this championship. They shouldn't, but they will. They will. So it robs everybody.
I'm glad you said that, because you know there are a lot of naysayers when it comes to Grant. And you know, there's been the chatter. You know, you got lucky, you got this. The number of people. You know, I'm gonna call you people by name: Lamont Johnson, Ray Edwards, who love to talk crap about Grant. Well, let me give you a little revisionist history here, fellas, so you can take this and put it in your pipe and smoke it forever. Okay. Grant Holloway was a high school senior in 2016, and he called me in May and said, "Coach, I don't want to play football, but I need you to promise me you're going to push me to be one of the greatest hurdlers to ever walk the planet." So, of course, I said yes. In the last 6 years and a couple of months, Grant Holloway is an 8-time NCAA champion. He is the NCAA record holder indoors and outdoors. He is a 3-time world champion. He is an Olympic silver medalist. He's a world record holder indoors, and he's the number 2 guy ever outdoors. But we're terrible, aren't we? You know, Grant Holloway's had a better 6 years than probably the careers of most of the people out there that are criticizing. So, but I want you guys, don't be Team Grant now. You know, keep criticizing us, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing. But if Grant Holloway hasn't shown you guys anything, he's shown you he knows how to show up and get the damn job done when it counts, whether y'all like it or not. And I'm out.
Wow. For those of you who have not been privy to this, Feisty Mouse is my favorite, so I'm here for all of that. That's a standing ovation. Listen, obviously the worst thing that we've all seen is the false start. So, but I'm going to give a different take on it. It angered me when I got all the information, because then I realized that the people in World Athletics think I'm stupid. Every single machine on this planet that calculates and calibrates has a standard deviation. Am I correct?
Yes.
You four?
Yes.
Every one, right?
Yes.
Like when you know, even the calipers that do body fat, there's a standard deviation, right? So it is not perfect. It's perfect within a small fraction, right?
Yes. Sir.
Okay. So in the semifinal, Devin Allen, his block start reading was 0.101. Okay.
Yep.
In the race where he was disqualified, his block start was 0.99.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want me to 0.099, what you want me to believe is that machine is 100% infallible to the thousandth of a second, because you're telling me that the first start was legal and a reaction to the gun, and the second start was a guess, right? Because that's, if you're telling me it's a false start, it means he reacted before the stimuli in his ear. There's 2,000ths of a second between those two starts, which means he's either the greatest guesser on the planet or he never guessed either time. I'm not that stupid, people. It is clear that the man reacted to the stimuli both times. And you cannot tell me that that machine can discern between those two starts as to one being legal and one being illegal. There is no shot that the standard deviation for that machine is within 2,000ths of a second. No shot. If 0.099 comes up on your screen, you just call them all back. Give a green card, and you just do a my bad. But you can't disqualify somebody within 1/1000th of a second. And this is how we know it's true. When they give out the official results, right? The official results are listed as the 10th and the 100th. They don't list the 1,000th on the regular results because there is a standard deviation in the omega timing systems. They use the 1,000ths of a second. They use the 1,000ths of a second to break ties that can't be broken by ocular proof. But have you noticed? Even the omega timing systems.
Ocular proof. Yeah.
Even the omega timing systems don't go to the 10,000th because that's outside of the standard deviation of the machine. Listen, folks, I'm not trying to bore you with science. I'm just trying to tell you this. There's no way that one
I
star.
was about to fall asleep, though.
Whatever, man. That what you need to understand if you are a lay fan, what you need to understand if you're a lay fan is this. Devin Allen could not possibly have had a legal start and a false start that are that close to each other. It's not possible.
Thank you. That's all you had to say in the first place.
Listen,
I appreciated the
I'm
nerdy.
trying to
I
help
appreciated the nerdy slant, sir.
we have some nerdy folks that watch this, and I want them to understand that this is a highbrow show. This ain't raised takes.
Wow. Shots fired. See, I shouldn't have started that. That's my fault.
No, you absolutely should have started it, and I'm here for it. And I'm gonna just say this since we're halfway through, since you started it, since we're halfway through the championships, we all agree, we all clear as day, the number one, worst thing we saw was the Devin Allen false start. There are some other candidates, the Team USA mixed relay processing and results would be high up on my list. I'm hoping that we finish off a little better than we have started.
Okay, so let's briefly, and I'm gonna try not to. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be brief and then take like 20 minutes like the EP does. But what I'm gonna say when it comes to the mixed relay, we have to pay better attention. The rest of the world is outsmarting us right now, right? Yeah. The schedule is set up so you can do your open events and the mixed relay.
Yes.
We are not strong enough in the women's 400 at this point in time. Hence, we have no one in the final of the event that we can take our 4s and 5s and beat the rest of the world's 1s and 2s.
Mm-hmm.
Our 4 and 5 on the men's side are fine, but we're going to have to delve into other events. We're going to have to ask the 400 hurdlers to help, the 800 meter people to help, because right now we cannot do it with our 400 meter runners. So that's all I have to say about
that. I don't have my college kids hear me say this all the time. If we line up and we get beat by people who are better than us, it is what it is. I'll take the L. We're not going to lose races out of stupidity. We're not going to lose races on the American side. We're losing races out of arrogance, just pure American arrogance. We chose to run a C team on the world stage as if
It's not the
no,
C team.
you just said the 4s and 5s by definition is a C team, sir.
Well, it's not.
All
Maybe a
right,
B team, but not a C team. Come on, man.
all right. We'll get into it on the full recap. I will show you as a C team. We
It can't be a
chose
C team.
if we
No.
have 6 and 7 people that are faster, it's the C team. But anyway, the American arrogance has got to stop. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm in the building. Maybe it's because I'm biased. Maybe it's because I'm pro Team USA. Losing because of American arrogance in Europe or Asia is bad enough. Doing it at home is way worse. It just is. We hung that little girl out to dry, shouldn't have done it, and we can't do things like that. We just can't. So we got the bulk of all of that still to come. And in case you haven't been paying attention, folks, we got some issues. Fred Curley's hurt. We have no Americans in the women's 400. We have people paid to make tough decisions. And I think you need to get on to the tough decisions and take the arrogance and the PR campaigns out of it. And let's go win some races. Because that is literally the job.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had something to say, Lamar. You unmuted yourself, so usually that's
He does.
I want to applaud that. That was, usually Papa Petty is just petty. That was meaningful. He said that with his chest, and I believe everything he just said.
All right. Well, again, as we've mentioned throughout the show, this is only halfway through championship. We'll recap, go through the rest of the back half of the championship, as well as recap the rest of it on our next episode. But I don't think a lot came out of surprise. I think there's some things that people may have forgotten. So kudos to us to bring that back to light and still enjoy all aspects of the World Championship. With that, we'll go ahead and round out the show with our heartbeat props and call it a night. But does anybody have they want to lift up?
Mine's pretty simple.
Yeah, mine's are simple too. Mine is Devin Allen. Heartfelt condolences on the passing of his father. And I had the opportunity to watch the interview he did afterwards in a situation where he could have been yelling, screaming, angry, cursing. He was very, very professional. And, it took a big man to do that. So that's my heartbeat props, Devin Allen, for the way he handled that situation.
Devin Allen, class act indeed. My heartbeat props go out to Mo Satara, throws coach at University of California, Berkeley. One of my former colleagues, obviously, when I worked there. Mo's out here kicking ass, taking names. He has 2 babies with 2 silver medals in events that babies never get silver medals in. I made reference to Cameron Rogers earlier. Love you, Cam. Congratulations. but Alinkna is a college freshman, y'all. He's a college freshman. He's not even a COVID freshman. He's just a freshman. And went out there and got the silver medal in the men's discus. Mo is one day in Team Canada garb. The next day he's in Team Lithuania garb. He is out here absolutely crushing it. And I love that dude. I'm proud of you, man. Congratulations.
I think the answer's in the name. My heartbeat props for sure go out to the 4 OSM baseball players in the 2022 draft that were taken and are this is how fast the world comes at you. The last of them leaves to go be a professional on Saturday. The first of them leaves tomorrow. And my heartbeat props clearly go out to the other couple of gentlemen who did not have their names called in the draft, who are now in the purgatory, and we're trying to figure out life for them and what happens next, and whether there is still a route to the pros. But at the end of the day, my heartbeat props go out to mine and all the others out there who survived the draft. Because let me be clear, the 3 days of the Major League Baseball draft and the 20 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft are something that have to be survived.
Governor, go ahead.
My heartbeat props. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it really general. My heartbeat props go out to the athletes that have to compete at the end of the program. The ones that have been sitting waiting now for over a week.
Thanks, Governor.
What's that?
I said, thanks, Governor.
You know, I mean, it's been through it. We've all been through it. And, you know, after a while, you know, if you're not careful, some malaise can kind of set in. You know, a little bit of, you know, all right, I was here, I was excited. And now I'm just like, man, I mean, when is my time coming? Like, come on. So, you know, here's to the athletes that will, you know, bring the bookend to these championships. There's a lot of track and field left to come. Stay focused, young man, young woman. Trust your coaches, and you know, we want this party to keep on going. So, heartbeat props to you.
Similarly, just heartbeat props to the collegiate athletes and the collegiate coaches who are rounding out what the quote unquote end of their season is, only to start up in another 6 weeks or so. You know, I won't talk about the cliche of the long season because I'm so sick and tired of hearing it and how it's been a bust and how can they be expected to succeed. But it's been an endurance race, and I think everyone has shown great faith to it. So up to all of you, specifically Sir Lucius, who is just a robot and just operates well. So can't be mad at that one.
Thank you, Big League.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that being said, we'll wrap up this teams of our episodes for season 3 and get back to work for World Championship. And other than that, everyone have a safe weekend. Enjoy the rest of the championship games, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, everyone.
This one's from 3 countries, y'all.